and welcome back everyone. Well, today we are back with another chapter from the NCERT geography book, and we will be dealing with today with chapter 5, water. With the name of water, the first thing that comes or flashes in our mind is that it is an essential thing without which we cannot survive, or the whole human race cannot survive. The other name of water is life. Well, do you ever wonder that from where this water has come onto the earth's surface? If we go back to our history, we will see that the earth has become a unique planet because of its three distinct features from the other planets, right? So what are these? They are the considerable amount of water found on the earth's surface. Secondly, the atmosphere that surrounds the earth and in which there is a concentration of oxygen for people to breathe, and availability of land so that people can survive, build their home and also grow their crops. So children, the water bodies that surround the earth's surface occupies 3/4 portion, and that is why the earth is called the blue planet, as it looks blue from the space. Now the huge land masses of water that surround the different continents, with the sunlight or sun rays, the water starts evaporating, okay, and as they move above the upper atmosphere, they condenses, they form clouds, and they again come back as rain, or they again fill up the ponds, the rivers, the oceans and the seas. So this is an entire cycle and continuous process through which the water goes around and around. Alright, so the process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land is known as the water cycle. So the water gets evaporated first, then it gets condensed, and then it comes down as the process of precipitation to fill up the land, to fill up the oceans and the other water bodies. Our earth is like a terrarium. The same water that existed centuries before still exists today. Okay, so the major sources of fresh water, we will see what are the different major sources of fresh water. The freshwater sources are rivers, ponds, springs and glaciers. The ocean bodies and the seas contain salty water. The water of the ocean is salty or the saline, as it contains large concentration of soluble salts in it. All right, so that is why it is salty in nature. Okay, now we will see what is the distribution of water bodies. We know that the 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered by water. If there is more water than land on the earth, why do so many countries face water scarcity? It is the water on earth available to us. So all these questions might strike us because we perform all kinds of water conservation techniques, water conservation methods, so that we can store a considerable amount of water, because the population in our country is very high. So for their daily needs, a lot of water is needed every day. So now if we see the distribution, we will look at the fact that the oceans consist of 97.3%, ice cap 2.0%, groundwater 0.68%, freshwater lake 0.009%, inland sea and salt lake same amount, that is 0.009%, atmosphere 0.019% in the form of water vapor, and rivers 0.001%. So that is all about the water. So what we can infer from this data, it is clearly seen that the percentage of fresh water available to us is very low. That is the reason we need to conserve water. The most percent of water that found on the earth is in the form of saline water that contains a lot of salt in it, which is a concentration of sodium chloride. So we cannot consume that water. The water is not potable. Okay. When we talk about salinity, you need to know that it is the amount of salt in grams present in 1000 grams of water. The average salinity of the ocean is 35 parts per thousand. Okay. In this regard, we need to know a little fact that the Dead Sea in Israel has salinity of 340 grams per liter of water. So it's extremely high, and that is why the swimmers can float in it, because the increased salt content makes it dense. So the more the more salt the water has, the more dense will be the water, and vice versa. So water is absolutely essential for us. We cannot live or think about our survival without water, but it is seen that most of the water present is in a salty form, so thus we need to conserve our water very seriously. There are countries in the world which goes out of water. There are places in India which has so less water reserve that people need to buy water on a regular basis. People are employed who carry the water, especially in the desert region where it rains very rarely. So in those regions it is a problem. Now we will see what do we understand by ocean circulation. Okay, before that, a little fact is 22nd March is celebrated as World Water Day, when we need to conserve water is reinforced in different ways. So several awareness days have been made by the government to make people aware of the use and the various ways in which we can conserve water, as it's a precious natural resource. Okay, now we will see what do you mean by ocean circulation. There is something magical about walking bare feet on the seashore, isn't it? The wet sand on the beach, the cool breeze, the seabird, the smell of the salt in the air, and the music of the waves, everything seems so fascinating. Unlike the calm waters of ponds and rivers, ocean water keeps moving continuously. This is not new to you. You have been to different sea coast. You have seen the different beach locations that the ocean water keeps floating, and it is not like a river or a pond which stays stagnant for a long period of time. So the water that continuously moves in the ocean forms a typical circulation that we are going to see here. So it is never still, right? The movements that occur in oceans can be broadly categorized as waves, tides, and currents. So if I ask you what are the different movements of the ocean, your answer will be waves, tides, and motions. These three, waves, tides, and currents. These three are the most important circulation of the ocean water. First, we will deal with the waves. Okay. Now, how do the waves formed? Waves are formed when winds scrape across the ocean surface. The stronger the wind blows, the bigger the waves become. So the velocity or the strength of the ocean waves depends on the velocity of the winds that is blowing over the ocean. The higher the speed of the wind, the more destructive will be the waves. Now, these waves actually cause a lot of harm onto the coast when they just come and go. Okay, so when the waves are coming and hitting the coast, it is known as the wash, and when it is moving back, it is called the backwash. Okay, So these are very powerful strokes. During a storm, the winds blowing at very high speed from the huge waves. This may cause tremendous destruction. An earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or underwater landslide can shift large amounts of ocean water. So if there is any movement going on inside the Earth's surface, due to which due to the endogenic forces of the Earth, if there is tsunami or landslide underwater or volcanic eruption, then these waves may get even destructive. All right. So as a result, the huge tidal waves are called tsunami. Okay, tsunami is a Japanese word meaning the harbor waves. Okay, so the tsunami, provokes or get provoked or originate when there is a there is a considerable amount of movement inside the Earth's surface. All right, so it actually elevates the water level and the waves smashes the coastal areas. They are the huge harbor waves or tsunami. It can also be as high as 15 meters. The largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meters high. These waves travel at a speed of more than 700 kilometers per hour. The tsunami of 2004, which was the most significant, caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indra Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands got submerged after the tsunami. So it is very obvious, children, if we have this kind of water that is getting displaced, then it will cause, of course, huge destruction on the coast. So an example of it was 2004 tsunami that had hit the southern coast of India very badly, and as a result the Indra Point got submerged after the incident. Okay, tsunami is actually an Earth's pandemonium. There is a short note about it. Please go through it. The magnitude of the earthquake, if it is more than 9 or like 8.5 or 9, then on a Richter scale, then we experience this tsunami. Okay, so it will give you some precautions. It will give you some pre-signals before the tsunami comes, but it will be very evident from the violent wind movement and the very destructive tidal waves. So the waves cause destruction, much destruction onto the coast of, onto the ocean coast and to the people that surround that area. So that was all about waves, children. We will continue with tide and the currents the next day. You are requested to go through each and every corner of the book and try to understand the chapter really well. If you have any problem, then comment and let me know. Like the video, and those who have not still yet subscribe it and click the bell notification so that you are notified whenever I'm posting any video, and there you will get all the notifications accordingly. So read well, children. Your exams are just knocking at the door. Read well, stay well, and take care. Bye bye.